Rocket League is a car, football/soccer game where the main objective is to beat your opponent. Rocket League is a game for your PC and console, and not for your phone. But since the recent release of Rocket League Sideswipe, that has changed. But there are some key differences between the games, and one of them is the dimensions. As Rocket League Sideswipe, which I refer to as RLSS for now, is a 2D game, and Rocket League is a 3D game. They both have their pros and cons. Some people prefer the 3D aspect of Rocket League and how it's harder and more rewarding when you learn a new mechanic, for example. And as a game for those people, Rocket Soccer Derby, aka RSD. You may have heard of RSD from watching any of my videos before. There is also the game Turbo League, but that's a topic for another video. Unlike RLSS, RSD is a Rocket League ripoff, made by Destruction Crew, or similarly to Rocket League as a 3D game but still lacking features. And today I will be comparing the two to see which game is better Rocket League Mobile. Now some people will have already said that of course RLSS would be the better game because it's made by the same company, Psyonix, now owned by Epic Games. If you give this game a chance, you might think twice about that. Firstly, customization. Let's start with RLSS. RLSS has all your favorite cars, deacons, and all that good stuff. On the other hand, RSD doesn't have the Octane, nor the Dominus, nor any other Rocket League car. So it also doesn't have any animated decals, nor goal explosions. So that's 1 point towards RLSS. Now, let's go into gameplay. Now for gameplay, we're basing it off of similarity to Rocket League. And RSD's 3D gameplay gives it a massive lead over RLSS. But RLSS gets some points back for having a better multiplayer, less glitches, error. But the 2D factor and the fact that the games are based off 50/50s for RLSS brings me to give the point to RSD. Playing is also a huge part of gameplay, and RLSS delivers on it. But it's quite easy to do and isn't as hard as doing them in RSD. For example, here's a normal RLSS clip. Pretty simple, nothing hard about it, just flying with the ball. Now, for RSD, where you really have to be precise with the joystick and boost to have a nice, clean air dribble. So far, it's 1-1 in this battle between them, but we still have more to go over, such as the player base. With RLSS being recently released, there is a lot of hype surrounding it, especially as we waited a year for it. The player base for RLSS is a rough estimation I made by combining the iOS downloads and the Android downloads, taking the total amount of downloads, and then timing that by 10%. We get a total of roughly 150,000 active players playing RLSS. And for RSD, because RLSS and the community dying even beforehand, I'd give a generous 2,000 players still playing it, giving RLSS the lead. And for our next topic, the size of the app. Like, don't you hate having to delete some apps or some photos just to make room for another app? And then especially when it says enough storage, when you clearly have enough storage. Anyways, RLSS has an app space of 871 megabytes, according to Google Play Store, and 1 gigabyte on the iOS Store. And for RSD, it has an app space of 80 megabytes on Android and 248 megabytes on iOS, basically halving the amount of storage for RLSS, making it 2-2. And now, our final topic to decide is the pros and cons of the games. Similar to my RSD versus Turbo League video, Turbo League being another good RL ripoff. Let's start with the RLSS pros. It has better graphics, better customization, better multiplayer, more mechanics to pull off, more content on YouTube, and it's more easier to get good at. Now let's look at its cons. Something I discovered while playing this game was that the frames drop a lot for older phone models due to the phone's overheating. And that is a huge problem for some players with old phones, as they can't play up to 60 FPS like other players can. Sometimes it's just too easy to freestyle in this game. It has a few glitches while on the backboard. It has no chat during online games, only stickers. It has limited customizable private games. It requires 1 GB of storage to download on iOS, and around the same for Android. It has no replays, and it only has 3 game modes. Now, let's move on to RSD. Let's go. Let's start with RSD's pros. More rewarding freestyles as it's harder but can look nicer. Requires more skill to master certain mechanics, more accessible to older devices, a bit more customizable private games. It has 3v3s, has 3s and 4s, sadly only private games only. It has 4 game modes, and better gameplay overall. Now let's go for the cons of RSD. Worse multiplayer, worse graphics, more glitchy, no custom button layout, and no camera settings. You mostly play with bots, you're unable to change to no unlimited boost in free play, and there's only 2 maps. So there we have it, the pros and cons of both games. And the true best Rocket League Mobile is your decision. It could be RLSS or it could be RSD. Everyone's opinion is and will be different, so it's hard to choose a true winner. But even if we can't decide which is better, it's always important to remember that they are just games and we shouldn't argue over them, as their purpose is to give enjoyment to one and their body. Nothing beats the feeling of coming home on a Friday and playing a few good rounds of your favorite game till the evening with your best friends.